Hi, boys and girls. This is Miss Cranford, and I'm going to share with you today the story of the Ugly Duckling. This story has been retold and illustrated by Rachel Isadora. On the title page, we see that the original story was written by a man called Hans Christian Andersen. So when Rachel Isadora retold this story, she read his story first and then retold it in her own words. Once upon a time, on an old farm, a mother duck sat on her eggs. One by one, the shells began to crack, and out came 6 chirping ducklings. Peep, peep! But the biggest egg still did not hatch. "I will sit on it a while longer," said the mother duck. When the egg finally hatched, out came a strange-looking duckling who gazed up at his worried mother. "He is my child, but not like all the others," she said. No one wanted to play with the poor, ugly duckling. He was large and clumsy and so different from his brothers and sisters. All the animals out on the farm laughed at him and teased him. You might notice that these are not the usual farm animals you would expect to see. I don't think that this story is taking place in the United States, or Mebane, definitely. I see a giraffe, and a vulture, and a warthog, and a baboon with an earring. So I don't think that this story takes place in Mebane, do you? At night, the ugly duckling would cry himself to sleep. Oops, I have to keep moving me. One day, the ugly duckling felt he had no choice but to fly away. He came to a pond where some wild ducks live. "Do you know of any ducklings with gray feathers like me?" he asked. "No," they all said. "We don't know any ducklings as ugly as you are." That seems kind of mean. The duckling then came upon a pair of geese, who warned him not to stay at the pond. "It's dangerous here. There are men and dogs hunting." Just then, pop, pop sounded in the air, and 2 geese fell from the sky. The frightened duckling tried to hide, but a large dog ran up to him. The dog's jaws were open, showing his sharp teeth, but just as suddenly, the dog went on his way without touching the ugly duckling. "Oh," thought the ugly duckling, "now I am thankful I am so ugly even a dog will not bite me." When the hunters were gone, the duckling ran off. A storm was blowing, so he sneaked inside a hut. Here he found an old woman with her beloved cat and hen. "What a prize," the woman said when she spotted the duckling. "Now we shall have some duck eggs." But after many weeks, there were no eggs. "Well, you can't lay eggs like me," said the hen. "Can you purr like a cat?" "No," said the duckling, "but I like to swim and dive." The hen and the cat laughed at his foolishness. "Oh, they don't understand me either," thought Duckling. "I think I will go back out into the world." He told them. "Yes," said Hen, "do go." Back at the pond, the duckling would swim and dive each day. Still no creature would come near him. One fall, he saw a flock of the most beautiful birds. He was filled with longing. "If only I could be as lovely as they," the ugly duckling sighed. I think this illustration will give you a good idea of where this book takes place. Do you think this book is taking place in Africa? Is that what you guessed? That's my guess. But wait, now it's winter time. This doesn't look like Africa in winter time. There he is. Winter came, and the land was covered with snow and ice. One day, as the poor duckling tried to find food, he dropped exhausted to the ground. A kind farmer came upon him. "I'll take him home so my children can look after him. Poor thing, he's frozen." Hopefully, he's almost frozen. The duckling was showered with kindness, and in this way he survived the cold winter. Oops, I keep getting in the way of the pictures. By the time spring arrived, the duckling had grown so large that the farmer set him free in the pond. That is when the duckling saw himself mirrored in the water. "Goodness, how I have changed! I don't recognize myself at all." At that moment, the beautiful birds he had seen before glided onto the pond. When the duckling saw them, he realized he was one of them. They surrounded him and stroked his long neck with their beaks as a welcome. Some children came to see the birds, and one of them exclaimed, "Look at the new swan. He is the most beautiful of all." At first, the young swan was shy and could not believe his good fortune. "I never dreamed of such happiness as this when I was an ugly duckling," he said to himself. Then the young swan rustled his feathers, curved his long, slender neck, and glided onto the water in the bright sunlight. There it is. That's the end of our story. Oh, I guess that's the back of the book. Well, boys and girls, I hope you enjoyed that. Obviously, Rachel and Isadora tends to has reset all of these retold fairy tales in Africa, and so sometimes it seems like it doesn't quite make sense. I'm not sure there are swans in Africa, but I liked looking at the African animals in the backgrounds of the pictures, and I'm pretty sure they don't have snowstorms cold enough to freeze a bird in its tracks in Africa. So Rachel Isadora did not let some of the facts of the story keep her from telling an entertaining story for us. And I particularly like that she's chosen Africa as the setting of all of her retold fairy tales. I'm going to read as many as I can find for you. So buckle up. We're going to get some good stories, hopefully.